joining us today from, I had to write this down because there were so many. We had registrants from California, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Virginia, Arizona, Georgia, Colorado, North Carolina, Alabama, and we see you guys. Texas, couple classes from Texas. Miss Carpenter just joined, and there she is again, from Maryland and New Jersey. We also had two folks, and I hope you're watching, register, two aspiring illustrators, authors, and teachers from Argentina and Brazil. So
Wonderful.
Thank you so much for joining us for our Purple Feet Foundation Think Career Chat. We've been doing these about once a month, and the whole idea is to connect your students to some really, really interesting, talented people with equally interesting careers. And our final one for the year is with Peter H. Reynolds, who probably needs no introduction, but he is an author, illustrator, a great friend, and he's taking time out of his day to share with us. So we'll say hello to Peter virtually, and Peter, take it away. After we do a little bit of intro, and if you want to read or show us some pictures, show us some illustrations, when you're done with that, we'll take some questions from the students. So Peter, thank you again and welcome.
Thank you, Lance. Great to see you, Lance, and great to see everybody across the country and actually around the world. My father actually was born in Argentina, so it's good to see my friends in Argentina. Great country. I've been there a few times, and I'd love to be going back soon. And in fact, I love going around the world. So but this is certainly easier. I've been on the road quite a bit recently. I've been to Dallas and Richmond, Virginia, and to New York City and Bologna, Italy. So, but I'm back home now in Dedham, Massachusetts, which is part of Greater Boston. And as you probably have heard, it's been a very challenging week here in Boston. And today's been a kind of a challenging day. But this, we were wondering whether or not we were going to be able to do this today. But I'm really glad. And in fact, because it was challenging, I actually wanted to do it even more. Because as you probably know from my books, I am an optimist, and I believe that things get better when good people connect and think good thoughts and do good things, and that's really kind of my mission. And I encourage everybody to save the world, make it a better place. I happen to love to draw, and I know. Raise your hand out there if you love to draw. Love to see hands. Awesome. Lance, that's good. I love seeing that hand. I actually believe that everybody is an artist, and anybody who tells you differently doesn't understand what art is. Art is a way to take what's inside of you and share it with the world. And you can do art with drawing, which I love to do, but you can also use art to express yourself through dance, through music, through creating plays. There are lots of ways of being an artist, and I wrote a couple of books about art and about being brave, and you might know some of them. I wrote a book called The Dot, so I'm not sure. How would you like me to read? Would you like me to read The Dot to you? Yeah? All right. So yeah, I'm going to dive in because this is this is actually a special year for this book. I wrote this book 10 years ago, so this is its 10th anniversary, and there's going to be a big celebration in September. Every year we have something called the International Dot Day that was actually started by a teacher, Terry Shea in Iowa, and his class decided to have a birthday for my book, The Dot. And word spread, and a couple of hundred people joined, and then a couple of thousand. And I think this year we'll probably have 1 million people making their mark on September the 15th, which is 150 days away from now, I think. So you have time to get ready for that. So I'm going to start at the beginning. It's a good place to start. Art class was over, but Vashti sat glued to her chair. Her paper was empty. I'm not going to show you all the pictures, but occasionally I'll show you one or two. Because you have imaginations, you can imagine the story through my words. Vashti's teacher leaned over the blank paper. Ah, a polar bear in a snowstorm. Let me show you. I'll show you the polar bear in a snowstorm here. Let's see. Do I have it here? There's a polar bear in a snowstorm. Very funny, said Vashti. I just can't draw. Her teacher smiled. Just make a mark and see where it takes you. Vashti grabbed a marker and she gave the paper a good, strong jab. There. Her teacher picked up the paper and studied it carefully. She pushed the paper towards Vashti and quietly said, now, sign it. Vashti thought for a moment, well, maybe I can't draw, but I can sign my name. And there she is, signing her name. The next week when Vashti walked into art class, she was surprised to see what was hanging above her teacher's desk. It was the little dot she had drawn, her dot, all framed in swirly gold. There she is, her reaction. I could make a better dot than that. She opened her never-before-used set of watercolors and set to work. Vashti painted and painted a yellow dot, a green dot, a red dot, a blue dot. The blue mixed with the red. She discovered that she could make, well, this is a different edition of the book. This is the first edition. It says the purple dot, but the edition that you probably know says a green dot. She mixed the blue with the yellow. Vashti kept experimenting, lots of little dots in many colors. If I could make little dots, I could make big dots too. She splashed her colors with a bigger brush on bigger paper to make even bigger dots. There she is, making her dots. Vashti even made a dot by not painting a dot. That one you have to see. At the school art show a few weeks later, Vashti's many dots made quite a splash. Vashti noticed a little boy gazing up at her. You're a really great artist. I wish I could draw. I bet you can, said Vashti. Me? Not me. I can't draw a straight line with a ruler. Vashti smiled. She handed the boy a blank sheet of paper. Show me. The boy's pencil shook as he drew his line. Vashti stared at the boy's squiggle, and then she said, please, sign it. And that is actually dedicated to my 7th grade math teacher who dared me to make my mark. It was a fun book to write, and it was fun to be able to thank my teacher for changing my life, which great teachers have a habit of doing. Sometimes they don't even know they're doing it. In fact, my math teacher, I don't think he realized what he was doing, but he noticed that I loved to draw in class. I drew all the time on everything. I was doodling all the time. Not every teacher liked me drawing in class. They would say, do that after school. Don't draw in my class. But Mr. Mattson said, Peter, I'd love you to draw, but how about use it to teach math? He said, could you write a story and illustrate a story to teach math to other kids? So I'm like, wow, that sounds cool. So I went home and I made a comic book to teach math. And when I brought it in, when he took a look at it, Mr. Mattson looked at it very carefully and he said, Peter, do you know what you've done? I thought, I made a comic book? He said, well, you actually, yeah, it's called a comic book, but it's also called a storyboard, and that is what a filmmaker uses to plan out a film. How would you like to make an animated film of your story? So I said, yes, that sounds cool. And my teacher said, I don't know how to make one, which I think is really cool because I had a teacher who didn't know something, and I didn't have too many teachers that would tell me they didn't know stuff. And I thought that was kind of cool because he actually asked me to be a teacher, right? He said, teach, could you teach using your art and your storytelling? So he asked me to be a teacher. And he became a learner because he had to learn how to make an animated film with me. So we learned how to make an animated film. So when I was 12 years old, I made my very first animated film to teach. And that's what I do today. I have a company called Fable Vision. We're in Boston, and we make We make really cool animated films and, of course, now interactive stuff for iPads and iPhones and tablets. And so we're using technology and story to help inspire people and teach them stuff and get them brave and creative and making their mark. So, and my company has done very well in the past couple of years, even though the economy has been kind of not so good. Because I actually think that, you know, when the going gets tough, the creative get going. So creative people know how to do a lot with a little bit. So if you're interested in a job at my company, at Fablevision, we are hiring. So my only recommendation is finish school, go to college, focus on what it is that you love, your North Star, your passion, and when you graduate, come see me. And maybe I'll have a job for you, or maybe you will hire me for your company. So, anyway, so I love creativity, I love art, I love story, and I love people who are positive thinkers and optimistic, because I certainly am. And I'm hoping that you will join me on this journey. So that's kind of an overview. I don't know if there are some questions. I know there are a bunch of questions that were sent in, and I'd love to answer a couple of them, Lance.
Excellent. Yeah, no, and I am learning how difficult a job our student interviewers have, because there's questions coming in from different places, and I'm trying to get texts coming in as well. So for the students that have done this before, I'm not really sure how you multitask. So one question, I think you actually just talked about this one. So Becca from Miss Eplin's class in Greenbrook School, California, talked about anybody in particular that inspired you. So I think we covered that one. There's two questions here. Mrs. Shadburn's class in Georgia. I just talked to you guys this morning, so hi. Questions for you, Peter, from them. We can see from your webpage that most of your illustrations and books are about kids. Do you ever write or illustrate any grown-up books?
That's a really good question. It's interesting because I know that normally we call these children's books, right? But they're also called picture books. And I actually make picture books. I make picture books for all ages. So even though this looks like it's a children's book, I'm actually writing for all ages. But right now I am actually working on a novel that is a fable for that stars grown-up people. So I would say it's a book for grown-ups, but you'd be able to read it. If you love to read, you could probably tear through this book too and learn something. So, but I think maybe because I'm sort of a kid at heart. My characters tend to look like children, but so when I draw a picture of myself, it usually looks like I'm about 12 years old, because that's how I feel, which is a big tip for grown-ups.
One more from Mrs. Shadburn's class, and then Miss Reynolds will take it over to the class in Alabama for a couple questions, and then there's a few more as well. But from Mrs. Shadburn's class, what was the title of the first book that you wrote, Peter? Did you give a title to that first graphic novel storyboard?
Oh, the film. Yeah, the book and film. It was called The Positive Way to Win a War, actually. And it's an epic story about well, just using positive energy to solve problems. So I have it somewhere. I have it on. It's on a reel of film, and if I can find it, I will digitize it, and we'll have to share it. I admit it. It wasn't the best film in the world. If I had technology, the technology that you have today, I could have done that film a lot faster. It took months to do, and I had to wait months for it to come back from Kodak and edit it all together. But anyway, so that was the first one.
Awesome. Let's see if we can hear Miss Rain's class in Alabama, and then we'll take some more of the questions that came in, because we have a bunch more. But Miss Rains, can you unmute? Can we hear you now? Let me try this. How about now?
Can you hear us?
Yes, we can. So do you have a question or two for Peter?
Nicole has our first question.
Hi, Nicole.
Languages is the dot in?
If you could say it again, but loud for me, because I'm all the way up here in Boston.
How many languages is the dot in?
Oh, how many languages is the dot in? I've lost track, but I think it's somewhere around 20 languages, maybe more, including Braille, which, do you know what Braille is?
No, ma'am. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it's a special language for people who are visually impaired or blind. So it's kind of neat because the words are actually in little dots. So it's the dot made of dots.
Okay, Justin has our next question.
How many books have you illustrated in?
How many?
Books have you illustrated in?
Oh, how many books have I illustrated? Wow, that's a good question. Well, you might know I illustrate the Judy Moody series, Judy Moody and Thinc by Megan McDonald. And there are at least, I'd say, 20 books in that series. I've illustrated the covers for Judy Blume books. I've done, and then of course I love to collaborate. So I've just finished a book with Susan Verde called The Museum. And of course I do my own books, write and illustrate. So in total, I would say maybe 40, 45 books. And I do about 4 to 6 new books a year. So lots more coming.
Okay. All right, and we have one more question from Trinity.
Hi, Trinity.
Has any of your settings been in the South?
And you'll have to say that one more time for me.
Has any of your settings been in the South?
Any
Oh.
settings in the South?
Oh, have I set my books in the South? Well, I kind of try to make my books feel like they might be set anywhere, but I haven't done anything specifically where, you know, I've done where it's actually set in. Do you think maybe I should do a book about Alabama?
Yes!
Yeah, I kind of had this feeling that that might be a good setting. So, but when I write about a place, I usually like to come and visit. So, I might have to come visit your school and hang out. You'll have to tell me about Alabama.
Yay!
All right.
Awesome. That would be awesome.
Thank you, Ms. Reynolds, for the questions, and for those of you that are watching, continue to submit them. I have Peter, if you have maybe 5 or 10 more minutes, I have a list of questions here that we typically do on our Think Career chat. So it's usually better coming from a student, but I'm gonna do my best to take their place today. All right. So, what is one of the coolest experiences you've had in your job?
One of the coolest experiences. Wow. I've had a lot of interesting ones. Yeah, well, I would say I got a phone call from an astronaut. That was pretty cool. I got a call from Commander Hatfield, Chris Hatfield, the Canadian astronaut. He's actually the commander of the International Space Station. And he called me up and he said, "Peter, I love your books. I would love to do a book with you." And I'm like, "Wow, that's cool." And I said, and he said, "Well, we're going to have to chat in person after I come back." I said, "Where are you going?" He said, "I'm going into outer space. I'm heading up to the space station for a few months." And so he went up. He went to Moscow and went up to the space station. And a few weeks after he was there, the telephone rang, and somebody that I work with handed me the phone and said, "It's a call from the space station," and I actually got to have a chat with him up in space. So that's wonderful. I mean, I love working and collaborating with people, and whether they're here on this planet or other planets, I welcome collaboration. So who knows? I might be collaborating with one of you out there someday.
Excellent. Next question. What education and experience did you need to have to get your current job?
Well, I would say Well, I love reading. Even though I'm an artist, I'm a storyteller, and more words that you know, the easier it is to tell a story, because you have more words to choose from, more adjectives, more verbs, and so I recommend people read, 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 read. That's what I did. My sister, older sister, used to read to us. She loved reading Charles Dickens books to us. So we used to gather around, and she would read these amazing stories, Oliver Twist, and which is interesting because one of my favorite books as a child, the first book that I fell in love with was Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. That was the first chapter book that I read all the way to the end. And it's actually reminds me of Charles Dickens' work. So I would say reading is really good, and then also just anything that you choose to do, just practice every single day. So whether it's writing or drawing or dancing, do it every day, and you'll know that it's probably a great career, because if no one has to remind you to do it, you probably have found your passion. So no one had to say to me, Peter, make sure you draw today, because I drew because I loved it. So just keep doing what you do. Every time you do it, you're going to get a little bit better, a little bit better. So and enjoy it.
Excellent. So the next question: what's the biggest challenge that you face in your work, and how do you address it?
Wow, the biggest challenge, I would say, I have so many ideas that I can't do it by myself. So that's a challenge, right? You've got a lot of stuff to do. So I have realized that I can't do it alone. So I built a studio, and a studio is a collection of people. So I actually have 45 people that work with me, including one of my best collaborators, my twin brother, Paul, who works with me. And so Paul works with me and helps me get everything done. So in fact, this is my twin brother, Paul. Yeah. Hi, everybody. And Paul's my big brother. He's 14 minutes older than me. And we often say that I dream it and he does it. So he actually gets it done. But I actually love getting stuff done, too. And Paul's a good dreamer. He's a good writer. In fact, we're collaborating now on a book series inspired by STEM, or STEAM, we like to call it, because it's using the arts to express science, technology, engineering, and math. And so that series is we're working on right now and should be out within a year. So
excellent. Carolyn, I love Google Hangouts, and for those of you that have been trying to join in the bandwidth, so hopefully I can see you're still on there viewing, but if you can get in and ask questions live, give it a shot. We have a couple more minutes. Peter, this is probably my favorite question that we usually ask of all the folks with really interesting careers, such as yourself. What makes you happy?
Wow, that's a great question. What makes me happy? I think helping people. That really makes me feel really good when somebody has been inspired by one of my books. And I get letters from around the country, and when people say, "Wow, you made me feel a bit braver today," or I stopped drawing, but I read your book Ish, and now I realize it doesn't have to be perfect. Perfect-ish is fine with me, and now I'm drawing again, and it feels good. So that's what makes me happy. I love that, and I love seeing people, especially people who say I can't draw. If they hang out with me for a while or with my books, and they start drawing again, that makes me happy. I love seeing people create stuff, make stuff, and also being positive. There are a lot of people who, it's really easy to be a cynic, to have a bad attitude, and it's really depressing. And I like being around people who are positive, and so that makes me happy. Hang out with, I call it kindred spirits, people who believe what I believe in, which is that the world is actually getting better, and the more connected we get, the more conversations we have like this, the more we get to know each other and care about each other, the harder it's going to be in bad moods and be negative. I think the best is yet to come. So we have to keep connecting those dots.
Excellent. All right, this is going to be a challenge for me. So Namir and Ariane, who are watching now, but we're going to ask these questions. We will get you on another time when it's not raining so much and you have good internet connection. But for everybody that's watching, I will do my best. This is something we do for each of the career chats, Peter. It's called 60 Seconds of Sixth Grade Silliness. So it's rapid fire questions. So here we go. Twilight or Hunger Games?
Hunger Games.
Favorite school lunch?
Favorite school, chicken a la king.
Chicken a la king.
I don't know if they still make that, but it was a big glop of rice with something that looked like chicken, chunks of chicken with gravy. I love that. That was my favorite lunch.
Who would play you in a movie version of your life?
Wow. Well, if my twin brother is available, I would have him play that part. I think I'd have Paul play me.
All right. I think maybe you answered this one, but maybe there's more than one. Favorite book when you were in elementary or middle school?
Yeah, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory was definitely up there. I mean, I loved all of Roald Dahl's books. I also was a very big fan of Ray Bradbury, who is a science fiction writer, and he did books that, while they were sort of sci-fi, they really got you thinking. There was one particular book called Fahrenheit 451, where it was set in the future, and they decided that books were a bad thing, and they started burning all the books, and that was fascinating to me. I'm like, wow, what would the world be like without books? That really got me thinking, doing some deep thinking. That was one that stuck with me. I used to ride my bike down to we had a bookstore in our town center, and I would save. We'd get our allowance every week, and first thing I would do, hop on the bike and head on down and buy my book. My dad liked to build bookshelves. He was an accountant by day, but he built bookshelves by night and other furniture. And so he built us this bookshelf in our bedroom. It was fun to fill it with books. So, and the library also was one of my favorite hangouts. Speaking
Excellent.
of hangouts.
So last one for sixth grade silliness. Best memory of being 12 or 13 years old?
Best memory of being 12 or, let's see. It was exploring a swamp near our house. We used to, head into this swamp, and it was a perfectly wonderful place for a young boy. It was full of mud, and it just looked like we were traveling to another planet, and we had all sorts of adventures in that swamp.
Excellent. Well, it looks like Miss Rain's class had to jump off for lunch, and I know I want to be respectful of your time too. So we have one more question, but before we do that, I just want to encourage everybody that's watching. We'll put the archive up on the Purple Feet YouTube channel. Make sure that you learn more about Peter. Google him, follow him on Twitter, go to Peter's site, check out Fablevision. There's tons of resources. I know everybody that's on today is a big fan. That's why you joined. So Peter, with our Think career chats, we always close with one final question, because our Think program that we have is spelled with a lowercase c because it represents all sorts of different things to different people. So for you, what word that begins with a C describes you best?
Well, the very first thing that popped into my head was creativity. I like to think I'm a creative thinker. I think outside of the box, and creativity has the word create in it. I love making stuff, and I think we need to, all of us need to make more stuff, right? It's really easy to consume stuff that's already been, made for you, but I think it's cool to make stuff, whether it's your own book or a TV show or dinner. Making stuff is awesome. So, good question.
Excellent. Well, hey, thank you so much, Peter, and thank you for everybody from all those different places: Pennsylvania, Ohio, Arizona, Alabama, Texas, Argentina, Brazil, and on and on and on. Thank you, Miss Carpenter's class, for trying to jump on. Hopefully you're able to watch. For the class in Georgia that sent in questions, the class in California. It's been a lot of fun, and Peter, thank you so much. I know these are, it's a difficult day, so we want you to stay safe, and we look forward to seeing you again. International Dot Day. Everybody needs to participate. Check out Peter's site. Check out Fable Vision. Peter, we love you. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you, Lance. Thanks, everybody around the country, around the world. Let's stay connected. Let's connect the dots. The dotclub.org is a really easy way to connect with me and the mission. And I want to hear your mission, and I'm wishing you good luck on your journeys. The best is yet to come. Take care.